Right now, we intend curbing the spread of STIs, how health officials in Dane County are using dating apps to address the issue.
And we now know the names of the two people found dead in the town of Middleton. This as more information is being released after a related standoff in Vernon County.
Plus, it's set to be a busy online shopping week. What Amazon says you can do to protect your deliveries. That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Eric Franke.
And I'm Sarah Carlson. A new initiative to stop the spread of sexually transmitted infections is making its way to Dane County residents.
And specifically making its way onto their phones. Our Maddie Heimsch explains.
The new public health program would work to inform you of a potential STI as quickly as a swipe, giving you a notification directly through the dating app if they find you've been exposed.
Hey, we're with public health. It's come to our attention that you might have been exposed. This is where you can go to get tested, and if you need treatment, this is how this process goes.
Public Health Madison and Dane County staff has long worked to keep people aware of their sexual health.
So typically when somebody is diagnosed with an STI, our staff work with them to contact their partners and make sure that those partners can get tested for the STI.
But as the dating landscape changes,
more and more people are meeting their partners online.
So do their methods.
We're kind of adapting to that changing landscape by actually being on the platforms themselves.
They say they hope the increased measures could help stop the spread, as hundreds of people in Dane County are diagnosed with STIs every month.
It can be a hard thing to talk about. It's a little bit awkward, but it's really important.
Through the digital service, the original point of contact with public health will remain anonymous to protect all parties' identities.
There's no shaming, nothing like that.
Just kind of widening our toolbox, what we're able to do in order to stop the spread of STIs.
Reporting in Madison, I'm Maddie Heimsch, News 3 Now.
And Public Health provides free confidential services. If you have questions or concerns about your sexual health, you can visit publichealthmdc.com.
Well, it was a beautiful day for concerts on the square, as you know, but we have some storms returning.
Yeah, Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington joins us now to tell us when.
First chance of storms here. Let's break them all down. Will happen Thursday afternoon going into Thursday night. More scattered thunderstorms again Friday afternoon, especially Friday evening. And that storm chance will continue into a busy Saturday with lots of events going on. It will be tracking these storms very closely using Future Track a little bit later in the newscast. I want to also be abundantly clear if we could have a couple of severe thunderstorms over the course of the next few days. Gusty winds would be the main threat, but we can't rule out heavy rainfall. Certainly with any of these storms, one or two of those storms could have some marginally severe hail, and we can't rule out the potential of a brief spin-up tornado. But how about some good stuff first? Lows tonight is 62 in Madison, 61 in Janesville. A little bit warmer to the west as we start to see that warmer, more humid air move in towards the Mississippi River. But a gorgeous evening overall. Maybe give the AC a break for one night because the humidity will turn on tomorrow. High temperatures right around that 80 to 85 degree mark tomorrow, especially out ahead of the shower and thunderstorm activity that we're expecting to develop in the afternoon. In a few minutes, join me. We'll use Future Track. I'll take you through these rounds of thunderstorms and show you when you can expect them. That's coming up in just a bit.
All right, Alex, thank you. News 3 Now has confirmed the identities of the man and woman found dead in their home in the town of Middleton. We confirmed through an internal email sent to DOT staff that David Pabst and his wife Terry died unexpectedly in their home. That message adds that David had worked for the State Patrol for more than 38 years before being promoted to Bureau of Safety Director. Terry was a special education teacher at a Middleton middle school. Yesterday, Dane County Sheriff's deputies were called to their home on Stonebrook Circle in the town of Middleton for a welfare check. A suspect had fled before deputies arrived. Law enforcement in Vernon County later stopped the suspect, leading to a standoff where they discovered the suspect had taken his own life.
At one point, an observer said that there just was no movement inside the vehicle, and then provided some other details to where we formulated a tactical approach to the vehicle when there were no signs of life, and we saw what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
You know, the Dane County Medical Examiner's Office has not formally named the victims or the suspect. News 3 Now reached out to the office and was told a release would come tomorrow.
We now know the name of the man who died after a bar altercation last month. The Grant County Sheriff's Office has identified him as Jeffrey Cornell of Fenimore. He was found dead at his home on June 30th after being released from the hospital. Now, Cornell was being treated for injuries sustained during that altercation at the Shipwreck Bar in the village of Bagley. The Sheriff's Office is still working to determine his cause of death.
The Wisconsin Elections Commission is finally done with its investigation into Madison's missing ballots. According to the released draft report, poll books were printed too early, and former Madison clerk Mary Beth Witzel-Bale and her staff failed to take responsibility for the missing ballots. The report found probable cause that Witzel-Bale violated 5 election laws. The WEC will meet next Thursday to review the investigation, but whether or not the former clerk is charged with any crimes, that will be up to the Dane County District Attorney.
Madison Metropolitan School District Superintendent Dr. Joe Gothard held a press conference today to address the federal withholding of grant dollars. The funding was intended to support programming in Madison schools and other public schools districts in Wisconsin. Gothard discussed how students, families, and staff are impacted by the lack of legislative support for public education.
But it's one without the help of the federal and additional help from our state government that's going to continue to repeat itself. So unfortunately, it's likely a cycle.
Gothard says the district has a lot of work ahead to figure out what the exact shortfalls will be.
Whitefish Bay businessman and Republican Bill Berrien is launching his bid for governor. According to his website, Berrien is campaigning on boosting Wisconsin manufacturing, supporting President Trump's immigration policies, and lowering taxes. Berrien is the second Republican to formally enter the race. On the Democratic side of the aisle, Carthage College student Zach Roper is the only person to have declared for the race. Wisconsin's next gubernatorial election is set for November 3rd of 2026.
President Trump is putting more U.S. trading partners on notice. This morning, the president posted on social media 6 letters to additional countries informing them of new tariffs, ranging from 20 to 30% beginning August 1st. He also met with leaders of Western African nations, where he discussed new potential trade opportunities with their countries following steep cuts in U.S. aid to the region.
There's great economic potential in Africa, like few other places in many ways. In the long run, this will be far more effective and sustainable and beneficial than anything else that we can be doing together.
President Trump also said he is considering sending Patriot missiles to Ukraine for its fight against Russia, and he expressed optimism that a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas will be reached soon.
A new TikTok app may be coming for users here in the United States. President Trump, of course, has repeatedly delayed enforcement of a law requiring TikTok's Chinese-based parent company to sell it or face a ban in the U.S. Now the president says there is a buyer. Meanwhile, TikTok is reportedly building a new version of the app just for the U.S. that could launch as early as September. NVIDIA became the first publicly traded company to hit $4 trillion in market value. NVIDIA stock up about 20% this year, thanks to its leading role powering the AI boom, and effects from the U.S.-China tech war haven't been as bad as expected. Apple entered this year as the world's most valuable company at about $3.9 trillion, but it fell off in recent months amid President Trump's tariff turmoil. And a U.S. appeals court has blocked a rule that would have required businesses to make it as easy for consumers to cancel subscriptions and memberships. The so-called click-to-cancel rule was passed by the Federal Trade Commission during the Biden administration, but the appeals court says the FTC failed to conduct a preliminary analysis of the costs and benefits of the rule, which was set to take effect next week.
Well, it's one of the summer's biggest weeks for online sales, but with all of these deliveries, it's also an opportunity for thieves to steal all your stuff. Security.org says more than 58 million packages were stolen in 2024. Now, while Amazon says the vast majority of packages are delivered without any issues, there are things customers can do to make sure their items are safe.
They're able to track their packages in real time when they're about to be delivered. And then when they do get delivered, there's a photo that's sent to you so you can see exactly where it was put.
Amazon adds that certain items can be delivered to a hub locker at no additional cost, and you can schedule to have those items delivered on a day that you're home. Now, if a package is stolen, you can call customer service to get that fixed.
A new A&E series is setting its sights on rebuilding Beloit. The show, called Betting on Beloit focuses on Diane Hendricks and her daughter Kanya Hendricks' Shoes mission to revitalize the city. It'll follow Kanya and her team as they purchase, restore, and reimagine historic homes. Kanya says Beloit has a bad reputation after it was voted the worst city to live in Wisconsin by USA Today.
We just really want to change, Beloit's reputation because we think that it's entirely false and inaccurate. Just in the past handful of years, we have new hotels, we have a ton of great restaurants, we have the new minor league baseball stadium, which is a beautiful stadium, and a new charter school, working on the education system. It's just the momentum is just so exciting.
Well, the city of Beloit is holding a Betting on Beloit watch party on Saturday. It'll be at the Beloit Public Library on Eclipse Boulevard. The event is free to the public. It starts at 11:45 a.m. if you can't make it to the watch party. Betting on Beloit premieres the same day at noon on A&E.
Well, still to come at 10, deadly flash flooding damages a New Mexico community.
And the death toll continues to rise in Texas. We'll look at the ongoing search and rescue efforts as communities begin to rebuild. That's next.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
At least 120 people are now confirmed dead in Texas after the flash flooding that devastated regions of the state.
With about 160 still missing, that number is expected to climb. Karen Hua reports from Kerr County.
In Kerr County, Texas, search teams combed through the grounds of Camp Mystic on Wednesday. Campers' belongings and a broken sign reading "Jesus wept" stretched out on the campgrounds. More than 24 girls and counselors were killed in the 4th of July flash floods. 5 campers and a counselor are still missing. In Washington, Senator Ted Cruz talked about his visit to Camp Mystic earlier this week.
There's one cabin, the cabin where the youngest girls were in, called Bumble Inn. The water blew out the windows in that cabin and swept all of the girls and the counselors out. Every girl in that cabin is either confirmed dead or missing.
Elsewhere in Texas, cleanup efforts continue, including in Georgetown.
I just lost everything in my big trailer. It's a voltage. I think it's a 24-inch trailer. I lost everything in it.
At least 120 people have been confirmed dead, and more than 170 remain missing across the state. Now, rescue workers say a key challenge in the search is sifting through miles of land and water.
We are finding vehicles and RVs deep inside the debris that you can't even see from the outside.
At every press conference in Kerr County since Friday, reporters continue to press officials about whether emergency alerts were sent in time for people to evacuate.
Those questions are going to be answered. I believe those questions need to be answered to the family of the missed loved ones, to the public.
For now, search efforts continue. Officials say they will not rest until all the missing are found. Karen Hua, CBS News, Kerrville, Texas.
And a village in the mountains of New Mexico faces a long cleanup as well after deadly floodwaters left a trail of destruction there. Authorities in Rio Duso say a man and 2 children drowned on Tuesday. Dozens of homes were damaged and emergency crews scrambled to rescue people trapped in homes and cars. The downpour was swift with more than 3 inches of rain in just 90 minutes. The village's mayor says the floods were brought on by the Rio Ruidoso River swelling to a record level.
Rio Ruidoso crested at a historical high of 20 feet. Last year during the historic flood, it was over 15 feet, so we're 5 feet over last year. This represents truly unprecedented flooding in our community.
Ruidoso is still recovering from last year's wildfires and the floods that followed. The mayor says the situation could have been much worse had people not heeded warnings to move to higher ground. Damage assessments will likely take several days.
A new study shows more intense summer weather could be leading to more heat-related deaths. The study looks at 12 European cities between June 23rd and July 2nd. The researchers estimate that period was about 2 to 7 degrees hotter than it would have been without human-made climate change. Based on historical data, they argue that global warming is responsible for about 65% of that death toll. Now, despite the scorching summer heat crippling most of the country, a bowling ball-sized piece of ice Yes, ice fell out of the sky earlier this week in Wisconsin. The chunk fell on the home of a Hudson, Wisconsin man Monday, leaving extensive damage on his metal roof. The shocked homeowner says he's pretty thankful that no one was hurt, but he says he now has to deal with an insurance company that seems to be about as shocked as he is. Wow.
Wow.
I think we're all we're going to talk about our storms, but that's nothing.
Alex, any idea what that could have been?
Yeah.
That's a pretty big piece of hail.
It sounds like it's not weather related, which I'm just as shocked to see that as well. We were talking offline that maybe that condensation from a plane freezing at high altitudes maybe created that prolific bowling ball piece of ice, but that's just a theory there, and I'm just as baffled as well. And speaking of ice, we do have some hail threat in our future here at Thursday going on into Friday. Not bowling ball sized by any way, shape, or form, but some marginally severe hail is a possibility. Gusty winds will be the main threat with thunderstorms that we have on our horizon, which we're going to track here momentarily using Future Track. All part of the three things you need to know. Chances for storms daily Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Humid Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The pick of the weekend is looking like Sunday as dry weather builds back into the area. Here's how the thunderstorms look like they're going to pan out. We'll have a little area of low pressure that moves across southern Wisconsin Thursday afternoon and evening. A little bit of a twist to this feature. We call this a mesoconvective vortex. This brings chances for thunderstorms with the heat of the day. Gusty winds and some marginally severe hail would be the main threats, but we can't rule out a very isolated chance of a brief spin-up tornado because of the rotational component of this feature if this evolves as it looks like Future Track is evolving it. Then those showers and thunderstorms will weaken some as we go into the overnight hours of Thursday, perhaps a morning shower or thunderstorm on Friday. Then we repeat this all over again as we go into Friday afternoon, evening as another ripple of energy, another area of low pressure moves across the area. So those storms Friday afternoon and evening will be that next round, and then yet another round as we go into Saturday. Let's track this all together. We'll go into Friday afternoon now. Dry to start, but then scattered thunderstorms developing as we head towards that 4, 5, 6 o'clock time frame, lasting into the evening and perhaps all the way through the overnight hours. A brief window of dry time Saturday morning, mid-morning to late morning hours before the heat of the day out ahead of that cold front comes through in the afternoon, with widespread scattered showers and thunderstorms expected across southern Wisconsin. And by the time we get to about this time Saturday night, all those showers and storms are out of here. So we have 3 rounds of thunderstorms Thursday afternoon and evening, Friday late afternoon, evening, and overnight, and then again Saturday afternoon and evening. And well, we've got some nice stuff though to talk about too. 62 for a low tonight, 61 in Janesville, a little bit warmer off to the west. Maybe consider giving the AC a break here. Can't rule out a little bit of patchy fog as we go into Thursday morning. That will burn off with those storm chances building in. Probably will have to drop that high temperature as well, 80 to 84 degrees down into the lower 80s if those thunderstorms are going to look like they're going to pan out as being a little bit more widespread as our latest weather models are indicating. Following the storms on Thursday, again, good chances for storms as we head into Friday with very humid conditions as well. And then look at the muggy meter. Finally follow that yellow line into the little humid category by the time we get to Sunday behind that weather system. And we'll be keeping an eye on middle of next week for some more storm chances. Hopefully as we get closer to that Wednesday time frame, it'll work its way around contours on the square like the past couple of weeks have done.
Not too bad. And I think July is the muggy meter.
It is.
It belongs
Indeed,
there.
yes.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex. Trying to sweep the world champs out the door today.
Yeah, it was a great day if you were watching baseball and a Brewers fan. Coming up in sports, a win and an all-star nod, the history the crew made in Milwaukee, and which Brewer is heading to the all-star game. That's next on News 3 Now. Two games into their series against the reigning World Series champs, and it's been all Brewers. The crew have outscored the Dodgers 12-2. Now all that's left to do is break out the brooms and make some franchise history. Sweep LA in Milwaukee for the first time. And Pat Murphy likes the sound of that, and he'd love seeing this. 9th inning, Brewers down 2-1, and Andrew Vaughn comes up clutch. He bloops one into the outfield to bring in the game-tying run. That's his 5th RBI in his first 3 games as a Brewer. It'd go to extras, then in the 10th, Jackson Chourio calls game. He rips one through the infield to bring home Sal Frelick, and the crew walk it off for the win and sweep the Dodgers in Milwaukee for the first time in franchise history. Well, more good news from Milwaukee. After the game, Brewers closer Trevor McGill was named to the NL's All-Star roster. The Crew's closer will replace his teammate Freddie Peralta at the Midsummer Classic. It's McGill's first All-Star nod of his career. He currently sits second in the National League in saves this season with 21. Well, before the series finale with the Dodgers, the summer of celebration continued for the Wisconsin women's hockey team. The Badgers were honored at AmFam Field for winning the program's 8th national championship, and Ava McNaughton threw out the first pitch. Brad Davison truly left his mark during his time at Wisconsin. His grit, toughness, and will to win helped lead the Badgers to a pair of Big Ten championships, and in turn earned him an opportunity to play professionally. Over the past 3 seasons, he's been playing overseas, first in Lithuania, and then the last 2 seasons in Spain. Now, he's still weighing his options for his next stop, but one thing is for sure, it's been an experience of a lifetime.
The game of basketball, it's a gift, and the people that you get to meet, the locations and the countries you get to see, and I feel like I'm learning a ton, getting to learn from great coaches and great teammates and great opponents, and so I just feel like I'm learning a ton from the game of basketball, but also just learning a ton about life and about the world that otherwise maybe I'm sheltered from, staying in one spot for my whole life. But it's been a great experience.
And Dana Retke and Team USA taking on Thailand in Week 3 of the Volleyball Nations League, and the former Badger had it going on. First set, she hammers it home for one of her 9 kills on the night. Retke also served up an ace to help the U.S. win in 4 sets. And that's it for sports. Alex is back with one last look at your forecast after the break.
Finally tonight, what a New Jersey man thought was a break-in turned out to be a 4-legged visitor. It's not the way you want to wake up at 6 in the morning, though, but Brian Carnes, thought to be an intruder, turned out to be a young buck that had crashed through his living room window. There he is.
Sweetheart.
A little startled. Doesn't like the hardwoods.
I know. So Brian, having grown up around farm animals, he knew what to do. Started to think about how he could get this poor scrambling, panting sweetie out. So he grabbed the buck by the antlers and dragged him right out of the home. The buck was able to get away.
There he goes.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, he's young.
Oh, really young.
Does not like the hardwoods, though.
No. Oh,
a little
how
slippery
sweet.
on those
Reminds me
hooves.
of the dogs, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Our dogs
need
when they're scrambling.
that floor refinished, I think, then. Alex, final check of the forecast.
Yeah, turning stormy, humid over the course of the next couple days. Let's break that down. Few storms Thursday afternoon and night, another round Friday afternoon and night, and then that last round as we go into Saturday afternoon and evening. There will be some dry time all 3 of those days. Driest day of the weekend, Sunday, 84, and turning a little less humid.
All right, Alex, thanks. Stephen Colbert Show coming up next.
And our next show is tomorrow morning, 4:30. And you can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+.
Have a good night.